Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those who are new, I hope you can benefit. So I'm hiding in my car. I just want to give my husband a break. He gets tired of my, let's say, steadfast consistency of making sure that I make my video, rebound, prep my food. He's like, oh, so I thought I'll just get this part out of the way. Anyway, I was just thinking of how, I'm just trying to make it through, but I'm more than making it through. So on Wednesday, I lost my job, right? On Tuesday, a precious friend died. And then today, we received some additional shocking news about some family members. I'm not even going to go into it on their behalf, but it was just like, wow, how much, when it rains and pours, it just keeps coming. And I had to keep it in perspective because I was like, how much of it is about me? There's no question losing the job is about me, but the person dying, that's their situation. The other family circumstance, that's their situation. I'm affected because I love them, and I'm a prayer person and I want to support them, but I can't, get so overwhelmed. Sometimes I accidentally take on people's stuff. And I remember my most loving, amazing friend ever in my whole life that I considered a mother. And she died unexpected to me. It turned out she had cancer and she'd been sick for about 6 weeks before she died, but we hadn't talked in 6 weeks. So I psychically called the night before while she was literally experiencing her last breaths, and didn't get the benefit of processing her death or anything. And it just absolutely devastated me. And I really cried for a whole year. Like every time I thought of her, my eyes watered. Every time I talked to her, I cried. But at some point, I had to remember that she died, not me, right? And it's kind of the same thing. When I was a little girl, I used to get in fights with kids on the block. And then the next morning, I would have forgotten that we were in a fight. So I'd run over to the house and knock on the door and say, "Do you want to play?" And they'd say, "We're in a fight." And I'd be like, "Oh, darn, I forgot. Well, how much longer are we going to fight? Can I come back at lunchtime?" Like, it's the same thing. Like, I can't help but still be joyful. Someone even said to me, "Ms. McCants, how are you smiling?" And I thought, God's grace, how can I not smile? I mean, yeah, I'm struggling. And yes, there is a ton more for me to walk through, and I don't feel like doing it. But I can't help but be who I am, and encouraging others and laughing in my day and, all of that. That's just who I am. So I labeled this, "Can you walk by faith and not by sight?" And, that's a big topic in the Bible. God calls us to just trust him by faith and know that he's in the details, and not always be thinking about having everything in place, being that human that's going to bring it all together before it's exactly right. It's like, you know what? Unless God is in the details, it will never be exactly right. Are you willing to trust his plan? Trust that he has a plan. Trust that while you're called to do the footwork, he's the one opening the gates, and that you don't need everything in place. That you can dare to step out in faith, and that the picture will come into focus rather than waiting to see the picture before you dare to take that leap of faith. And in sharing this, I'm talking to myself, that, because I have to go in that direction. Part of me is like, oh, I can't do that because I got to make sure that I have a secured paycheck, and I can't go that way because, what if? And it's like, you know what? You can't see any of it anyway. You cannot see 1 second before this very moment because it hasn't even unfolded. Life has not revealed itself. There is no way. We can hope, we can plan, we can imagine, but even my next breath isn't promised. And in taking my next breath, there is no next breath. I remember when I was in Overeaters Anonymous and I had my first sponsor. His name was Tom. Oh my goodness, we could not have been less alike. in every way. I mean, the guy was bulimic. He was a beanpole. I was a total heifer and binging my head off, a compulsive overeater. He was older than me. We could not have been different. But we had one thing in common, and that was our disordered eating. And in that way, we were exactly alike. So anyway, I just remember Tom used to always say to me, you know what, Juliana, you are welcome to binge tomorrow. Just make it through this next minute, make it through this next hour. You can binge your head off tomorrow, and you can welcome that. Well, the only reason he dared to say that was because there is no tomorrow. It was because every time I woke up in supposedly tomorrow, it had become today. So I could keep telling myself, you know what, you can have anything you want to eat tomorrow. And when tomorrow came, it was today. And I could say it again. Tomorrow's 3 sheets to the wind. Do whatever you want. And tomorrow became today. So I do want to walk in faith. It doesn't mean that I can be flippant or irresponsible, but I do know God is in the details. And if he's calling for change, I ask that he just continue to reveal that to me and give me the courage to say yes as it unfolds. So anyway, continued prayers, my friends. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Do know that by God's grace, I will be here again tomorrow with another message. I would love you to like if you like, join us if you haven't. Leave something in the comments so that I can support you. And thank you for being part of my journey. And until we talk again, my friends, be blessed.